my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.
I'm recording.
No!
I'm gonna put all this on if you don't do a good intro.
No.
Yeah.
No.
This is gonna be the intro.
Look, it's a piece of shit. Leave me alone.
This is all recording.
No, it's not. Are you videoing me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Hold on. I need to mentally prepare. Hold on. I'm editing.
What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the Rolling Times. This is episode 2 of the $1,000 car build. Brandy's here behind me. She might help out with something. I don't know. She doesn't really do anything, so.
Oh.
What are we doing to the piece of shit today, Brandy?
Jacking it up. Taking the wheels off. All the suspension parts. Because that's all the parts we got in the mail. And the wheel bearing. That's a piece of shit. It wants to
Yeah.
fall apart.
Except we didn't get the hub, so.
Aw.
We're just going to tear this thing apart and get it ready for the parts that should be here on Tuesday or Wednesday. So, let's get started. Get to work.
You can't slide very well off.
No, gotta have the phone.
And my PC. God, she's sneezing.
Jesus Christ. Got some more jack stands because the BMW is occupying like most of them right now. Go to the back.
And go.
Did it actually hold it?
Yes.
That's a surprise. Can you go higher with that jack stand? Hello? I get this knucklehead the impact gun, and she's still cranking away.
At least it has good pads on it.
I can't believe that. It's got a solid rotor in the front. I've never seen that before. Yeah, it's got plenty of brake pad on it. We gotta get this out of here. So this is the one that the wheel bearing was actually shot. That's how you get a stubborn wheel off. The goal is to get these rear struts off, and then up front here, this one needs a wheel bearing. So we're gonna have to take this whole steering knuckle off here. I didn't have an axle socket. Well, I did have one, but it was like for a 1-inch ratchet. I don't have any 1-inch stuff. So I took an old breaker bar and welded it to this because Harbor Freight's closed. So my tool actually worked. It did not break. Looks like the axle's freed up. So this may actually go a little bit smoother than I thought. We're gonna have to take the caliper off, disconnect the ball joint down here, and I believe the struts come apart like a normal Volkswagen. So Brandy is over here taking this caliper off. And I found something interesting over here. The bolts for this caliper are loose. The whole caliper is about to fall off. So, whenever you buy a car, before you put any real kind of miles on it or drive it, it's probably a good idea to jack it up and check it out. If you're not a mechanic and you don't know what you're looking at, then take it to a garage and have them pull the wheels and look it over. This happens to be registered as an antique, so it doesn't get inspections or anything anymore because it probably won't pass an inspection. But yeah, that's kind of scary. Now we can take the bracket and the rotor off. Okay, I would probably do the tie rod next. 17 for the tie rod. We ran into a problem here. While trying to take the nut off the tie rod actually loosened up, and now the whole thing's just spinning. So if you ever get into this predicament and you don't want to replace the tie rod, I usually start with heating up the nut. And once we get that nice and warm, we're going to smack this with the hammer back in place, and hopefully that'll give us enough to get the nut off. If all else fails, you can always put a vice grip on the tie rod. Hopefully you don't wreck the boot, but at this point we don't have much of an option.
Can you hold your hand there?
Alright, the next thing we're going to do is disconnect the ball joint. There's a pinch bolt you got to take out. Now you should be able to pull the control arm down away from the knuckle. we got one apart. I decided to be a dickhead and wreck the freaking axle boot. So we just coated it in our TV and we're gonna let it dry and see what happens. Maybe add another coat tomorrow. That ball joint is wrecked, and I'm pretty sure I ordered one, so that'll get replaced. Got new front struts, and this was the side that needed the wheel bearing. So what we're gonna do, take this into work, press out the hub, put a new bearing and hub in there. I think when I put the struts in, I'm just gonna cut the springs, and we'll get this bitch nice and low. After about half an hour of the propane torch sitting on that nut, we were finally able to get it off of there. So if I have any advice for you guys, if there's a nut or bolt fighting you, just be patient and heat that bitch up. Since Brandy knows what she's doing and she took apart the other side, she's going to start taking apart this side, and then I'm going to move on to the rear shocks or rear struts. They're pretty simple, just one bolt down here, and then probably have to take these things off. I think I'll just trash them, and then take our nuts off up top here. These things are held on, looks by some 10mm screws. After we take our two 17mm nuts off each side, the struts are going to drop down, and then there's a 17mm bolt right there, and there's also a nut inside the rear beam you might have to hold. Sometimes they're welded, sometimes they just spin. The rear suspension's off. Brandy's just about done with the front up here, so
I'm done. I just need to take my nut off.
she needs me to get her nut off. Where's that impact gun? Check this out, guys. This is why I ordered both wheel bearings, even though only one I thought was bad. This thing is freaking terrible. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap up this video. Brandy, what do they have to look forward for the next video?
New parts.
New parts.
Maybe it won't be as much of a piece of shit.
I'm gonna take those knuckles into work and press out the old shitty bearings and press in some new bearings, and then we'll probably lower this thing when we put all the new parts on, and maybe steal some wheels from my brother. Make sure you subscribe, bitches.